So we're just a few days away from the legal tampering period of free agency, and we know the Panthers are in this transition mode where they're trying to kind of really put the team into Dan Morgan and Dave Canales' eyes and hands, whatever their vision they have for this team. And believe it or not, it's probably going to be a rebuild, but they still have to build through the draft with only 6 picks and limited resources with $11 million in cap space. So in this video, I want to go into a handful of guys that are kind of affordable that the Panthers should probably target, that have a good chance for them, that can help contribute. So outside of like free safety and the quarterback position, the Panthers pretty much can add and afford to add help anywhere across the board. So the first guy I want to start with is the O-line, and that's George Fant. George Fant is another guy who played in Seattle back in 2019, has some, I guess, background and overlap with Dave Canales. Most of these picks on this list are probably going to have some kind of form of connection with coaches on our staff, because that's kind of how you have to win some of these free agencies when you're not in an attractive position like the Panthers are in. George Fant is a swing tackle that can pretty much play both positions and can really provide depth behind Taylor Moton and Ike Ekwonu. Can really push Ike as well. Obviously, you never could have enough linemen. We saw what happened last year with our interior with all the injuries in the revolving door. So adding a guy like George Fant would be great as well. He's a veteran experience. Last year, he had 850 snaps, only gave up 3 sacks. So pretty solid starter there. I think this guy could be fairly cheap. I think swing tackles are very valuable these days, so there will be some competition, but hopefully that background with the Seahawks could be something that they look into and hopefully target George Fant. Next up is Graham Glasgow, the former Detroit Lion. He can pretty much play all 3 interior positions, and we've heard of these reports that they plan on really leaning into what's going on in this interior, and Bradley Bozeman could be on the move, whether they change him to a different position or just get rid of him at center because of scheme fit and zone blocking. We're going more towards that, and we know Bradley Bozeman is more of a downhill power system type of blocker. So Graham Glasgow has that position to play all 3 of the interior, so he can really come in and contribute and compete depending on how these injuries play out with Austin Corbett. Glasgow is an excellent run blocker, and I know sometimes in pass pro, there's some question marks about him potentially getting bull rushed at times, and I know that they say they want to build that pocket with strong guard play. That way they get somewhere for Bryce Young to step up, but it's not really like a chronic issue for Glasgow. He still is a plus blocker in pass pro. It's just that run blocking is his specialty, but I think we can add this guy to this room to elevate the skill level and the talent level in the interior room. But hey, if you're digging the video so far, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I do recap and analysis of the Panthers, so please hit that subscribe button down below and that bell icon. The bell icon is going to make sure you're notified. And with free agency coming up, I'm doing a lot of live streams and have some guests and do some film breakdowns, breaking down the prospects that the Panthers target. So if you want to stay up to date on everything and get your water cooler talking points about the Panthers 3 to 5 days in advance, hit your boy up and hit that subscribe button. And also do me one quick favor, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out as well, helps the channel grow, and it helps me support. Does it cost you a thing to hit that thumbs up? Stop what you're doing, hit the thumbs up button. Next up is kind of a big fish, and that's going to be cornerback Darius Williams, who was recently released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, he had a phenomenal year last year, made a lot of plays on the football. This guy had 19 pass deflections and 4 interceptions, with 1 being returned for a touchdown. This guy is a legitimate option at corner, and with them getting rid of Dante Jackson as a cap casualty, I think part of a scheme as well that I'll talk about in a later video, Darius Williams can really come in and help elevate this room between him and J.C. Horn. You give yourself one of the better cornerback tandems in the league. Darius Williams spent time with Ejiro Evero with the Rams, and Ejiro Evero was the DB coach at that time as well. So very close hands-on experience and relationship with Darius Williams. Darius Williams would be very coveted on the market because guys that can cover, especially when they can make plays on the ball like he has with, like I said, 19 deflections and 4 interceptions, they're going to be highly coveted and it's going to be competitive. But I think this is a high-end guy that can come in and help this team, that has close connections with a defensive coordinator that's well-respected around this league. Darius Williams will be a dream addition for this defense, because that cornerback room outside of J.C. Horn is looking ugly. Ugly, and a lot of inexperience, a lot of guys that really have stuff to prove. And J.C. Horn, I love him, but we definitely know we need to have some kind of depth behind J.C. Horn. So Darius Williams will be a dream signing. So the next up is going back to the trenches, and that's going to be Damian Lewis, who's a guard who spent time with the Seattle Seahawks. He just left them now, but he was there when Dave Canales was there as well. This name has been floated around by multiple beat writers, so I expect them to definitely go after them. This guy is a huge huge guard that is phenomenal in the run game. He loves to get guys on the ground when he's pulling and moving. He's very athletic as well for his size. Will be a guy like we talked about, having that pocket, being able to hold their ground in front of Bryce. This guy's a straight up mauler, and if you plug him into that left guard spot between him and Ike Ekwonu, you're going to be folding that left side of the line of scrimmage like origami. These guys are going to be leaning on the defenders like it's nothing, like nobody's business. With the athleticism and the power of Ike Ekwonu in the run game with Damian Lewis paired up, you're going to strike some fear in some guys, and I know which way the Panthers will be running the ball majority of the time with those two guys. So I fully expect Damian Lewis to be a target of the Panthers and him to be a high priority, because from all intents and purposes, it sounds like guard is going to be at the top of their list for free agency. And I personally like the thinking that they're doing, if they're going to do that with the draft class that has very, very high talent level at receiver, you can pay and acquire veteran experience at the guard and offensive line. That way there's not this huge learning curve and guys aren't learning on the job at Bryce Young's expense. And then go with some younger weapons in the draft and build that way. The next free agent I think they should target is another former Seahawk, and that's going to be Noah Fant, the tight end. With them getting rid of Hayden Hurst, it's clear they want to go in another direction. For them to cut Hayden Hurst 1 year into the 3-year deal he signed last year, obviously they wanted to save some money. There's going to be dead cap, but it clearly just wasn't a scheme fit. Another guy with Seattle background, like I said, that's probably going to be targeted because of Dave Canales. Dave Canales used Cade Otton in that Bucs system last year incredibly, and Cade Otton is a huge tight end that, similar to Noah Fant, has that great size and athleticism. Noah Fant is a proven tight end with some upside, and I think that the services for him will be competitive as well. But I think those connections with Dave Canales, is a guy that a lot of people believe in when he was a passing game coordinator and quarterback coach up in Seattle. If this guy can get a visit in, talk to Dave, I think he may be able to convince him, if the money and the price is right, that he can come in and contribute for the Panthers. So if you're a Panthers fan, you may be wondering where exactly I got this I love the Carolina Panthers shirt on, especially if you're a regular viewer. You guys know I throw up the what up though and the sign on my videos, so I thought this was a perfect one for me, and I got this shirt from a company called Homage. I stay buying cool, dope, retro fitting t-shirts, a lot of pop culture stuff, but team stuff as well. They pretty much got the Carolina Panthers on lock. If you want a link to this shirt, I'll put it down below in the description. If you use that link, I get a piece of that commission from Homage. Homage knows that, hey, Aaron is sending a lot of traffic to buy some gear from us, and it'll really help me out with potentially a future partnership down the road. And that's something I'm really interested in doing, because I really love Homage, and I have a lot of stuff from them. So make sure you check that link down below in the description from Homage and shop with them. Next free agent I think they should target is A'Shawn Robinson. Now, this is the move for A'Shawn Robinson, who is a defensive tackle, and this guy has a background with the Rams in the Giro system. Like I said, most of these picks are going to have that type of crossover. I know they signed Shy Tuttle last year, and I'm not sure exactly the motivation there, but I think A'Shawn Robinson could be a guy that can anchor in the middle. Now, Shy Tuttle did make some plays at times, but we need somebody a little bit bigger that's going to anchor the middle of that line, that can hold the spot and not get pushed around. And that's exactly what A'Shawn can do. He's 6'4", 320 pounds, and his specialty is anchoring and holding that spot, taking on double teams. That'll allow our linebackers to float free and roam free, like Frankie Louvu and Shaq Thompson behind them. And I think this is a guy that we need to get bigger, because we need to be better against the run, and being able to anchor in that middle and not be moved allows everybody to maintain their gap integrity. And like I said, that's about stopping the run. So I think A'Shawn Robinson can be a guy to add to this rotation, maybe even a push for a starting spot that has a background with a Giro, that can strong enough to hold his ground there and not get pushed around, and really elevate this interior D-line room that needs some help in it as well. The next free agent is a guy that actually was a former Panther, and that's Shaq Griffin. Shaq Griffin was claimed off of waivers by the Carolina Panthers later on in the year. He ended up getting a little bit of action down the stretch when Dante got hurt and JC was hurt as well, but Shaq Griffin, he is a former starting cornerback. That's not overwhelming great, not a sexy pick here, but he's in-house. was really been quiet about the buzz for him about Pop potentially leaving or potentially staying. This guy has been in-house already. He's not a guy just roaming out the street. He'll probably be very, very affordable. He may be somebody we could bridge the gap with, and if we want to draft corner in this draft that I think is underrated for that position, we could bring somebody else in there as well to compete. But you also have a vet like him, and you also have J.C. Horn there, and like I said, you can't have too many guys that can cover. Shaq Griffin is a guy that will be very, very affordable, has experience in the system, has been around the team, knows the locker room, knows his teammates. This is a guy that I think that we should highly, highly target and bring back, because right now we just need to be able to stay afloat and get guys that can give you some quality snaps at the start. It may not be the sexiest pick in the world like Darius Williams, but this guy has starting experience and has played football before at a high level, has that background in Seattle as well once upon a time. So there's a lot of things pointing to potentially Shaq Griffin returning to the Carolina Panthers. And last but not least is at the wide receiver position. It's not going to be the big name guy that you guys are probably thinking about with Hollywood Brown and Calvin Ridley, because I personally think that the Panthers are low on the totem pole for a lot of those guys. Maybe Hollywood Brown, you can sign him to a prove-it deal, and then he can kind of do his own thing later if he wants to do that. So with this pick, I think Darnell Mooney is the perfect guy to add. A very young, affordable guy. He has some upside. He has a 1,000-yard season under his belt. Things up in Chicago have been crazy with Justin Fields, and obviously when they added DJ Moore, he was not the number one option anymore. But like I said, he has had a 1,000-yard year, 2 or 3 seasons ago, and he's only 25, 26 years old. He can separate in the intermediate and the deep. Very, very athletic guy that came out of Tulane from college. Darnell Mooney, I think, still has a lot of untapped potential as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Probably is what he more likely is, but a 2 is definitely where the upside is. And he adds, like I said, speed and separation in the intermediate and in the deep pass where we need to be. He will be very cheap, maybe $10-11 million at the most. And he may want to do a prove-it deal as well, so you're not really have to be attached to him. I think Darnell Mooney's an underrated guy that the Panthers can add. It's affordable, not to mention doubling down in the draft. That way it's not all young guys, because you already have Mingo and you have Thielen. So one young guy, one old guy. But I want to add young guys in the draft, but also add one more vet to this room. That way we have a good balance and a good mix, because we don't want guys that are still learning on the fly at receiver as well, because like I said, Bryce needs some more veteran leadership. Thielen is a good guy to be there as well, but I want to add a veteran guy that has some speed like Darnell Mooney. You guys let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of the guys that I named to potentially add to the squad and free agent? What guys stick out to you? What guys do you think we should probably definitely pursue? What guys do you think that I'm probably aiming too low? I know you guys probably have some thoughts and about some dream signings, but I think the reality is we're not shopping, like I said, at Saks Fifth. We're shopping at Marshall's and Burlington Coat Factory. So let's try to be realistic with some of the targets. And that's what I try to do myself. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I am Aaron Duncan signing off. I'll see you next time. Peace.